Corrine, great to see you. Wow, I get the feeling that the Prince is actually finished for life as a royal.
Well, I think he should be, and that BBC interview, as you say, was an absolute disaster. It was a car crash. He was advised not to do it. He obviously arrogantly thought that he knew best, and we all now can see the results of that. Obviously, we don't know whether he actually did the right thing and said that he would step aside, or whether he was told that that's exactly what he needed to do. Really, you know, to be a member of the royal family, all you need to do very well is charity work. This is absolutely just an absolute nightmare for the royal family. And I don't even care so much about the brand of the royals, which lots of people have been talking about today, but let's not forget here, these allegations are incredibly serious. They're allegations that he had sex with a trafficked 17-year-old on 3 occasions. You know, this is really serious stuff, and it needs to be investigated properly.
Yeah, I don't want to say his mistake was going on TV, because I think he should have gone on TV to explain himself. What I think the mistake was everything that went before that. All these things he's alleged to have done, and the fact that he's got no defence for them. But Rebecca, you know, like this is like, you know, great stuff for news shows and magazines and all that. But in fact, it goes to the credibility of the royal family. Now, I know he's not directly in line to the throne now. There's a lot of people before him. But still, I think it really shakes the institution, does it not?
Look, obviously, this is the sort of thing one would never want to have happened. And clearly, Andrew compounded the problems that he already faced by doing an interview with a journalist who is well known and has actually had to apologise on air earlier this year for her lack of even-handedness. Now, what I think was missing from that interview was the context, which is that Jeffrey Epstein is known to be, and the people closest to him, like the woman who worked for him for 3 years as his erotic masseuse and who calls herself his sex slave, she said he was a blackmailer, and there seems to be abundant evidence that he was blackmailing people, and that he clearly flew to England with Ghislaine Maxwell and Virginia Roberts with the sole aim of capturing something that he would be able to use against Prince Andrew. I've written about this in The Spectator. To me,
yeah, but
that
Rebecca, hang on. But here, that may be context, but you can't be blackmailed unless you do something that you can be blackmailed about. This is the whole issue. And he should not have been anywhere near such lowlifes. And in fact, Corrine, what is the explanation for him, once Epstein's been convicted of pedophilia, serves a jail term, absurdly light one, I might say, that is suspicious, he gets free from jail, Prince Andrew then goes and stays at this same guy's joint and gets photographed in the park having strolls with him. How do you explain? There's no explanation for that.
No, there is absolutely no decent explanation for that. And, you know, this, I think, this comes back to the arrogance that I was talking about. In the BBC interview, he was specifically asked if he regretted his friendship with Epstein, and he said no. That is a very, very bizarre answer to me. Clearly, the answer to that is yes. If you've done any reflection on just how foul this human being was and what you were doing ever, having anything to do with him, it seems to me that there's been no moment of clarity, no moment of reflection, and seemingly no regret.
Well, if I could just say, though, that when we are saying how nobody should have been in touch with Jeffrey Epstein in 2000 when this happened, Jeffrey Epstein was friends with Bill Clinton, with Al Gore, with Donald Trump, with Bill Gates had visited him. Even Stephen Hawking, you know, visited Jeffrey Epstein on his island. Now, Epstein was no fool. He was an extremely cunning man, and he created an environment that allowed people, and certainly in the early 2000s, to imagine that they were not associating with someone who had broken the law in any way at all. So I think we have to remind ourselves.
I'm talking about the Prince actually going to the guy's joint, this mansion, after he's been imprisoned for pedophilia. After.
Yep.
Yes. Absolutely. And I agree that what we see from Prince Andrew is a man with absolutely no understanding of the danger that he was in and the danger that various people presented to him. The danger, in the first place, his friendship with Ghislaine Maxwell, really was the linchpin and gave him a comfort he should not have had. She and Epstein and Roberts all travelled with a single purpose, and that was to get him in a compromised situation.
Look,
and
fine,
it does not have to.
But Corrine, this doesn't work, this strategy, unless you actually go and sleep with a 17-year-old as the prince, a 17-year-old pimped out to you by this billionaire.
Well, wait a minute.
At the point when you're on, can I just say, at the point when you're then on TV and asked, do you regret that friendship? The answer is clearly, yes, I do. My heart is with the victims. You're not at that point still saying, no, I don't regret it at all, and bumbling your way through an interview showing that you have absolutely no comprehension of the gravity of the situation.
I think that's absolutely right. I totally agree. He does not seem to understand that these people who he thought of as his friends had a single intent, and that was to harm him. And, when you say you don't get into those situations, Epstein's modus operandi was to offer people a massage and then, sure.
Rebecca, look, a bloke offers you, a billionaire offers you a 17-year-old girl that is brought over from America for you. I don't know. That's beyond stupidity. There is something else going on. You're morally depraved. You're not fit to be a royal, and out you go. I don't know that. You can say they tried to entrap him, and maybe they should have been nice and just given the girl no strings attached. But basically, his mistake was his mistake, and it wasn't just a mistake; it was a bloody crime. But anyway, there you go. That's just my view.
Wait a minute.
Why are we excusing him as a victim? He wasn't the victim in any of this.
No. He put himself in the way of being shot, that's all.
The age of consent in the UK is 16, and having a massage of whatever kind from someone who is over the age of consent is not in itself a crime.
The bloke was double her age plus, and he sleeps with a girl handed to him by this bloke, 17 years old. He's getting everything he deserves. I'm just sorry, you just don't do that. You just don't do that. Rebecca WEISSER and Corrine Barraclough, we should continue this conversation, but otherwise I've got a friend coming in with a hot and heavy message to deliver, so I better let him come in. Thank you both so much for your time.